How are we doing, everyone? Hello, 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 hello. How are we doing? Words cannot express how unprepared I am for today's stream. I didn't even realize what time it was until it was like 2 minutes till start of stream. I will be honest, I was kind of expecting the first part of stream to be like Mario Kart or something. But that ended up not happening, which is fine. No worries, nothing lost. And then the rest of stream was just gonna be me talking about random bullshit. But now I have to figure out what to do for stream today. Which I think in the future, I'm gonna not do Fuck It We Ball because I am just, if I don't like actively plan about what game I'm gonna play, I don't think I have the mental to be like, fuck it, I don't know. Because like when I play video games by myself, I'm very quiet, you know, like I don't talk. I'll put on a YouTube video or play music and then just play the game, you know. But so it's like when I stream, I have to kind of like work myself up to be able to talk during the game, you know. And you guys help a lot, obviously. Speaking of which, hi Vladik, how are you doing? I know I just saw you in Playwright's chat. I understand if you're gonna be over there more than you're over here, but I'd say hi to you anyway. So I don't really have a plan for like what game to play today. If any of you guys have like a suggestion for like an easy game to play today, I'm all ears. I kind of don't want to play Power World because I'm kind of saving that for when I have like a huge update. I have an update. Yo, are the Guardian games? Are the Guardian games back in Destiny? Oh fuck, dude, are we gonna have to play Destiny today? I love the Guardian games. Guardian games are like my favorite thing all year. Oh no. I just opened Steam and like it has the whole like what's new thing section. I saw Guardian games and I'm distraught. But I kind of had a few ideas of what to talk about today, but I didn't know if I could talk about it for 3 hours, you know? Because there's like, I can talk about D&D stuff because I had a huge, massive breakthrough in my D&D lore, but I'm not good at putting things on paper is the problem with a lot of my D&D writing. Is like, I know how I want it in my head, but I can't really explain it on paper. And also, I'm just kind of really, kind of, what's the word? Insecure, maybe? Insecure about my D&D stuff, because like I've played it on stream before, but like playing in the world is different than like showing all of your D&D notes, you know? So like I'm a little cautious to like just when I'm like pull up my Google documents and being like, this is my D&D world for everyone to see and everyone to judge. Another option that we had was, because I've recently gotten back into one of my old passion projects. Like, I haven't really worked on it, but it's fun to look back on, you know? And I kind of talked about it in Playwright stream. So when I was 12 years old, or actually when I was just a kid and like in general, one thing that I had always wanted to do was make a Pokemon game. And eventually I kind of started designing one. I started when I was 12 years old, not long, or 13 maybe, not long after Pokemon X and Y came out. And I worked on it up until about 2021. So until I was about like 20 years old. I worked on this thing for like 8 years straight. And I got incredibly burned out on it, and I just haven't gone back to it, you know? And like, I don't really mind talking about it on stream, but like at the same time I kind of don't, because I'm self-conscious about it, because there's a lot of good stuff with it, but also a lot of bad stuff, you know? And there's not a lot. Because the one thing that I am terrible at is names. I am awful at coming up with names for things. So like a lot of the names for the Pokemon that I came up with are god awful. You know, we could play Baldur's Gate. It's been a long time since we played Baldur's Gate. But I don't know about my mods. They probably have to be updated or something. What are we thinking, guys? What do we want to play? We could play Power World. We could start over, because I really don't want to get into Power World until I make like a giant big return to it, you know? But I've been playing so much Power World. Have I tried DRG Survivor? No. Is it on Steam? You know what? We could play Helldivers. We could try and play by ourselves. DRG Oh, Deep Rock Galactic. Okay. Deep. I started typing in DRG. It's like, I'm not seeing it, buddy. It's a bullet hell. Okay. Or an auto shooter? I don't know, probably basically the same thing. Use tactical movement. Interesting. Interesting. Kind of like Vampire Survivors. I don't know what that is either. We could play Warframe as well. Just because it's, you know, easy. What else? I mean, dude, the Destiny 2 is like calling me, but I really don't want to play Destiny. Destiny is a fickle thing with me, because like I really want to play Destiny, but at the same time I really don't want to play Destiny because it's Destiny. You know, we could play Frostpunk. This is a game that I wanted to play very early on in my career, quote unquote. And it's a game that I really like because it's like a city sim game, but you have to make moral decisions constantly. And at the end of the game, it weighs all of the decisions you made and kind of judges you. And like it doesn't really, I guess it doesn't judge you necessarily, but it's like it takes all of the decisions you made, and it's like, despite everything, the city survived or whatever, something like that. But I think it ends with like, but should it have? Because the idea is it's supposed to make you question your morals, right? The idea of the game is, do you do what you have to survive and abandon morals that keep you from prosperity, or do you hold on to your morals and struggle through the hardship, even though it may not work out, kind of thing? One of the first ones I think you get is I think it's sawdust in the food to make it like not last longer, but like fill more. And I think it makes your food like last twice as long, but it it increases your sickness rates, and then another one that you get is a, because it takes place like in the 1920s kind of ish era. So it's so you know, like our modern labor laws don't really exist for these people. It's a like 1920s London kind of thing, and another option you get very early on is do you double your workforce by utilizing child labor, or do you not, kind of thing. It's a very fun game for me in particular because I'm devil's advocate. I am like the most annoying person to argue with because I can change sides of the argument at any given moment, kind of thing. And it's led to some heated discussions. But like, I just love that kind of shit because it makes you think about what you're doing. Excuse me. And being devil's advocate, I think, really helps with that, because it's like I can argue for either side, kind of thing. It's just a lot of fun. I don't know, what else could we play? You know, we never did beat Five Nights at Freddy's 3. Could try to do that again. Omega Strikers, Team Rock Galactic, and Survivor's on there. You know, it's certainly an option. We could do Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Warframe. What do big streamers do? Like when they're like, oh, I don't know what to play. Like, what do? They probably react content. I mean, we could, like, it's kind of like there's games that I would like want to play. I just don't know if I want to play it on stream, right? Because like I could totally go play Overwatch right now and have a good time, but like I don't like to play Overwatch by myself, you know. And also, it's different with you guys here. So I never streamed Overwatch by myself. But when I play Overwatch, I'm not confident in my abilities, you know? I don't know. What if I feel like I should just talk about my D&D world, but like a lot of it, I don't know. It's weird to talk about unprompted. Cause I like when, oh, how you doing, bros? I mean, you're not really late. We haven't done anything. We're just over here trying to figure out what to do for tonight because I had no plans. Literally, I didn't even realize what time it was that I was supposed to be streaming until like 2 minutes before I was supposed to go live. But hey, you didn't miss the last stream before I retire. Not retire this model, but it goes into channel point redeemed. Yeah, and we're just kind of I'm just kind of rambling about random bullshit, you know, because that's what I'm good at. But I'm kind of just arguing with myself over whether or not to talk about my D&D world or fucking my Pokemon game that I talked about, which I think I would feel more comfortable like looking at the Pokemon game that I wanted to make, because I haven't worked on it in a long time. And like I kind of don't have plans to return to it anytime soon. And like it's one of those things, it's like it's unfinished, but I look back on it fondly. But at the same time, I'm kind of embarrassed because the names just suck. It's really bad. But there was a lot of thought and care and passion poured into it. I am terrible at coming up with names for things. If I were to do the Pokemon thingamajig, I would have to Make sure I don't accidentally dox my information. Because it is on my personal Google account. Let me just make sure there's nothing here that could, you know. Ow, it's so bright. I wish Google fucking docs and shit like that had a fucking dark mode. Actually, wait, don't I have the extension for it to be dark mode? Or is that only Google Docs and not Google Sheets? It might only be Google Docs and not Google Sheets. That's fucking stupid. I mean, I did say that I would have to talk about my Pokemon game on stream one day. I guess there's no time like the present, right? Oh, look, a wild Weedle appeared. I don't know. I feel like I'd be more comfortable talking about it if I had someone to bounce off of, you know? Maybe we'll just play Overwatch. Whatever you feel. Yeah, Vlad, you can't say that because I'm an indecisive little fuck, okay? I doubt the names that are that bad, at least when I compare to mine. They're pretty bad. They're pretty bad when it comes to Pokemon names for the most part. Like, you know what? Fuck it. Fuck it. We'll fucking do something. Let's go to Google Sheets, shall we? Too late. I already said fuck it for the Pokemon game. Let me change my stream. I don't want to hear myself twice. I'm hearing myself twice again. I fucking muted. Shut the fuck up. Talking about childhood. What do I call it? No, we're talking about Pokemon. Because I also kind of want to talk about. Excuse me. Oh fuck. Excuse me. I kind of want to talk about the new trailers. Do I want to stay on this screen or do I want to go to the gaming screen? Do I want to stay on this screen or go to the... Yeah. Nah, let's go to the gaming screen. That looks weird. So yeah, I made it in Google Sheets. I'm gonna have to... Actually, I don't have to crop it, it looks like. Cool. I'm gonna crop it a little bit anyway. There you go. Well, there's no easy way to do this, is there? What the fuck? Why is it happening? There really is just no easy way to do this, is there? Wait, hold on. Go back. Why? Reset. Okay. That is big. You know what? Fuck it, that's fine. I can just use the scroll wheel. Yeah. Alright, guys. So this was Pokemon game that I made way back in I started way back in 2013-ish. I really don't want you to see that. I don't want anything about my information to be there, just in case there's some way it can like get traced back to me. This is really weird to size because it's not like the games. Fuck it, we'll do that. That works. Yeah, that's fine. I don't care. And well, you kind of can't see it. What do you think? Huh? Can you see that well? Maybe we just fucking. Maybe we do this instead of it being. We just. Maybe we just do that. Do that. That works, I think. And what we'll do is reset and then skadoosh and then fit screen. There we go. Because now you can see. Can you see my mouse? You can't see my mouse on the screen. Is there a way that I can get rid of that? Capture cursor. It says capture cursor. Can you see my mouse? No, you can't. Anyway, I don't know. So my region of the Pokemon world that I started, technically, when I started way back in like 2013, it was a region based off of
hydrate or dihydrate, you dick!
Straighten up, you banana shaped fuck.
Why is it playing twice? Why is it doing twice? Fuck it, I don't care. Thank you for the hydrate and the ungamerly player date. Shouldn't you be streaming? You probably can't hear me. You're probably just in here fucking with me because you can. But yeah, so actually this region originally was actually based off of Canada. Actually, I think when I started it was based off of just kind of everywhere in the world at the same time. But then I went to Canada and I learned a lot about Canadian history and like geography and a lot of cool stuff, culture. But I decided once I got fairly far into the game, into like development of the region, I was like, I should probably, if I'm going to make a region based off of an actual place, it should probably be somewhere that I'm very familiar with. And I have never been to Canada. So I said, well, I'll make it my home region of the United States. So, and because I like patterns and things like that. Like, Univ was already United States. Yes, it's the United States, but it's mostly New York. Mostly Manhattan, like, but there's elements from all over the United States, but at the same time, it's mostly just Manhattan. So, I had decided to make this about the southeastern United States, being the region of America that most people call the South. And there's actually a lot of thought process that goes into a lot of this stuff. Like, I remember a lot of it, to be honest with you. And like, it all kind of comes back to like fan patterns that people had noticed, like how the grass type starter is based off of extinct animals, the fire type starter being based off the Chinese zodiac, which now that's not necessarily the case. And then the water type starter being based off of some type of weapon or kind of fantasy fighting style is a common inspiration. But to ask if you were limited to a part of the US, because like where I'm it's wildly different. Yeah, it's like that's the thing about the United States, is that it could realistically be.
I'm your daddy.
Like, we already have had 2 different regions for the United States, right? We've had Unova, which is kind of just United States as a whole, but it's mostly just Manhattan, and we've also had Alola, which is just Hawaii. So like, you could literally have like 5 different regions in the U.S. alone, just because of how biologically, like, biodiverse it is. But I decided that I would make my starters based off of the 3 kind of most famous southeastern United States states, and that is the grass type Snoozy, which is based off of the Nothrotheriops, which is an extinct form of land sloth that used to graze in what is now Texas. So my grass type starter represents Texas. The fire type starter is based off of a Gulf Coast northern sheep, which is the only sheep native to this part of the U.S. And it was and it's even a kind of a stretch to say native, because it was interesting. I did not know that, Rose. To say that the Gulf Coast native sheep is native to the Gulf Coast is kind of a stretch, because if I remember correctly, it was introduced by the French like so long ago that it just kind of like decided that it was its habitat, and they called it native. And and it was also a very prominent what the fuck is it called? It was a very prominent and popular domestic animal in Louisiana at the time. So fire type represents Louisiana. And then the most famous of all southern states, Florida, which is represented by the water type starter Dewfin, which is based off of a Kemp's Ridley sea turtle, which is the smallest species of sea turtle to exist. I wish you guys could see my mouse, because like I'm circling things and like I wonder if I could do like screen capture, the way you can see my mouse, because I really want you guys to see my mouse. Whoa. There we go. There you go. Now you can see my mouse. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll take this. Cut that off. Bring that up. Cut this off. Then fit the screen. Oh yeah, no, like I said, I went balls to the walls with this. I am not kidding when I say like this was a passion project for so many years. And like I had so much work into this game. I had so much thought process and work into this game. Like I had their abilities, their typings. Can you guys see my mouse? Yeah, there you go. Okay. I had a fucking Pokedex made, bro. Like I had their abilities, typings, abilities, hidden abilities, their height and weight. I didn't have their weight, but I did have their height for a lot of them. I had some of their base stats. And like I had their inspirations over here, which, you know, Nothrotheriops, Sandman, Dreams. I want to know what the thought for Thick Fat was. Well, because Thick Fat is a remove that reduces the effectiveness of fire and ice type moves. and I thought it was a very competitively viable hidden ability for the grass type starter, because it's also supposed to be this mountain of a monster, of a creature that isn't affected by attacks. So it reduces the it reduces the damage taken by ice and fire type attacks by 50%, fire is, you know, kind of okay for grass rock, but it gets destroyed by ice type. So it was a little bit more of the competitive side that I did that for. But also because it's just supposed to resist the elements. Yeah. Now, so I did say that I started this when I was 12 years old, but I kept working on it, and I kept updating it as the years went on, which is why you'll see like abilities that didn't exist back then, and like you'll see up to Gen 8 abilities and like Pokemon. Yeah. Pretty much exactly like Blubber. Because up until Gen 8, I would say I was probably still working on... I'm out of balls? What the fuck? How did I run out of balls? See if I can buy Pokeballs. I want to buy Pokeballs. I have balls. I have Ultra Balls. Catch Ultra Ball. I don't know why that happened with that. I thought Anyway, I'll go back to my channel dashboard now. That way I can actually control shit. But yeah, that was basically the idea. And we had Kidling, Snooze. Actually, I have artwork of these guys somewhere. I had the starters done by my roommate. I actually drew the grass starter. But I had Kidling and Doofin drawn by my now roommate. At the time was just my friend. And there's art somewhere. I don't know where it is, but there's art out there somewhere for some of these Pokemon. We had Kidling, which was based off the Gulf Coast native sheep, and it was basically just which you might be asking yourself, what does a sheep have to do with the Chinese zodiac? I think if I remember correctly, my thought process was that sheep and goats are very closely related to horses, or the ram. Maybe that's what it was. That's probably what it was. I was about to say the horse. I don't remember the Chinese zodiac the greatest. So, but yeah, you're right. Probably the ram or the cow. I don't remember. I don't fucking know. Because they're closely related. That's all I know. That's all I remember. Is I remember the argument of like, because bovine and like rams and sheep are actually really closely related, which is weird. I never thought about it before. But oh, cyan is also we'll upgrade cyan probably. It is a goat. I don't remember. So I'm glad you are here to fact check me. But as you can see, I have a lot of their like inspirations and like question marks because I've changed a lot of the stuff over time. Because like it's based off of a goat and a ram, and eventually it's kind of a satyr Capricorn kind of thing going on, not minus the fish part of Capricorn. But I also had it potentially being a buffalo, because Bouffalant is one of my favorite Gen 5 Pokemon, just because I think it's really cool. And I think it's a very cool normal type. But also because this version of the fire type starter was based off of the Native American legend of the Great White Buffalo, or the White Buffalo, which is that the White Buffalo would appear during times of change, which is why it's known as the Herald Pokemon. Because when it shows up, it is the herald of change. And I think I was gonna have the shiny be white. I think it was supposed to be black and red was the main color scheme, but the shiny was supposed to be white, almost pure white. But I don't remember too well. And yes, there was a lot of Native American inspiration behind this region, because this area of the United States, really the entire United States, honestly, is so rich with Native American culture. And if you have, I recommend to anyone who has like Native American areas around them to research it and like look into it, because it's so fascinating. Dear God, have multiple endings by picking the wrong starter and be thinking it's the base ending. Well, I'm not sure what you mean by that. But there was actually a lot of thought process behind the starters in general, because the fire type starter was based off of Native American lore and legend, and see, saying lore feels weird, but like it was based off Native American inspirations. Snoozy was based off of historical information, and as kind of also representing all the fossils that were found in Texas, and like how much of how many fossils have been found in Texas. And Doofin, which we'll get into, if you see this word down here and you don't know what it means, that is okay. It is known as the cavitation Pokemon, which is actually, again, being based off of Florida, is based off of space shuttles and submarines. Because many of the early space rocket launches happened at Cape Canaveral, which is in Florida. And Doofin, being a water psychic type, I thought was very fun to have it use cavitation or super cavitation, which, to boil down what it is in the simplest way possible, is basically reducing the amount of drag experienced by something traveling underwater. The simplest way that I can explain it, because it is a very interesting and fascinating phenomenon. And if you've ever played Subnautica and you've like gone around in the Cyclops, and you can see there's a speed called super cavitation. Basically, what it is in Subnautica and in the real world is usually creating kind of like this air bubble around whatever's traveling through the water, which it is, air has less drag than water, and the only bits that are like touching the water are like the nose, I think, and like stabilizing fins. Everything else is essentially free floating in air. And then like the propulsion, I think, is also in water, but that's but the way that this Pokemon does it is through psychic pressure, which may have been inspired by anime. But the reason why cavitation is, you may not have heard of it, and especially in like using the Subnautica reference again, is because it creates a lot of heat and a lot of noise. that is not good when underwater, because noise travels twice as far when exposed to water than it does to air. So supercavitation is kind of a touchy subject. At least it was several years ago when I came up with these. But basically, imagine a torpedo and combine it with a turtle. And then you got Cavatuga. Which, name, again, could use some work, but I think it's alright. Cavatuga, Torblow, Doofin, Capriflare, Pyram, Kidling, Mossive, Drowsily, and Snoozy. Those are our starters. And you know what? Can I Google a Kemp's Ridley Sea Turtle? Because Kemp's Ridley Sea Turtle. This is a Kemp's Ridley Sea Turtle. He's just a little guy. He's just a little guy. Look. They are one of the smallest species of sea turtle, I believe. Which is part of the reason why it's supposed to be a big thing that Doofin, its base form, is very small, and it kind of stays small and gets just only a little bit bigger as time goes on. But it gets like really sleek and kind of stuff like that. Yeah, I don't really know. Like, I feel like it's hard to explain this Pokemon without images. I don't like Thermatuga. I like Cavatuga. Cavatuga's alright. I'm gonna get rid of that. Fuck that. Whoopsie. And then we go on to the regional bird. I mean, I could read. Do you guys want me to read the Dex entries? Because I haven't been reading them. I don't know. But they've been there for you. Hi, Con. How are you doing? Up to you. I mean, they're there for you to read. I don't feel like reading them. Not all of them. I'll read some of them. Because, like, one of the ones that I really like. So, the regional bird, we have Kivim, which is Latin for little bird. What, Con? Why do I feel like you broke something? You broke something, definitely. But Kivim is a portmanteau of the Latin word for little and avian, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly. So it is literally little bird. And it is based off of kingfishers, which are really, really pretty little birds. Did I make his ass buffer? Is everything okay? Hello? Hello? No, I had to refresh? Okay, yeah, Twitch has been doing that recently, I think. I think Twitch might be having server issues. But yeah, I don't know, we have the kingfisher regional bird. I was a big fan. I think the fire could be something else. Maybe like the things you're hiding that you broke. Huh? You're talking about what Khan said? The fire of my loins? Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. Yeah, I just had to reread it a couple times. I was a big fan of Talonflame. Fire of my face that it knocked off your shelf. Jesus Christ. And I think that really carried over into this because it's a flying water type upon its evolution. And I think Kivim was very much like what is it? What's that Pokemon called from Gen 6? Not Pick-a-Peck. What was the base form of Talonflame called fuck? Talon Flame. Fletchling. Fletchling. It was, I think in my head it looks kind of similar to Fletchling, but you know, more Kingfisher-esque. Torchic is the Gen 3 starter. I wanted to say Torchic as well, but I knew that wasn't right. But it's a nice little bird that hangs around rivers. And then when it evolves, it gains the water typing as well as the drizzle ability, and is known as the soaring Pokemon because it starts to turn into the larger species of kingfishers and seabirds is the big thing, and then eventually it evolves into an albatross. Big old bird, big old rain bird, and this name is one of my favorites personally. And it's Sovereign. I just think it's fucking awesome because it's a pun on sovereign. It's a kingfisher. And it's raining. It brings rain. I don't know. I thought it was great. One of my favorite names of all of the names that I've come up with for this fake Pokemon game. And it flies on the four winds of storms, and it's known as the bringer of rain. And there actually was another bird that I remember being here, but I got rid of it. It was based off of corvids, ravens, crows, blue jays, magpies, because it was supposed to be like an actor, and the idea was that like the black wings of the raven kind of thing would be like coattails of like a tuxedo, and they were flying dark type, but they were pretending to be dark type, you know, they were acting, you know. And their like design was very reminiscent of like the Shakespearean like floof thing around the neck and like the playwright tuxedo kind of thing. Excuse me. And they would have the intimidate ability because they're like pretending to be all intimidating, but in actuality they're kind of scary. They're not scary, they're kind of scaredy cats. But I remember I wasn't able to come up with good names. Just sounds like something a team would make. Hey, fuck you. Fuck you, bitch. But you're right. There's a lot of, you'll see probably a lot of stuff in there. That's very, you know, teenager coded. Probably like Gekins and Gekorocool, which not the greatest fan of these names, but eh. It was a normal type gecko with the unnerve ability. And it was known as the Sixth Sense Pokemon. And because geckos are a very big problem around here. They are everywhere, which is why in its Pokédex entry it's called a pest. Because they are, and they're not native, and they eat the natives. But then it evolves into Gekorocool, which I was like, ghost type? Because at the time, Hisui and Zoroark didn't exist, so there wasn't a normal ghost type. And then when Hisui and Zoroark did exist, I was like, fuck. Well, now I don't want it to be a ghost type. And I misspelled believed here, but the reason why it's a ghost type is because it's based off of the fact that geckos cannot close their eyes. So like the gecko Pokemon is just like constantly staring, and like it's believed that they're staring into another dimension, and it's seeing things that shouldn't be there, like the ethereal plane from like D&D and stuff like that. Yeah, not the strongest. It was an early route Pokemon that comes out at night. I think it's the fucking leaf gecko thing looks soulless. Yeah, that's kind of what it's based. It's based off the ghost gecko and just geckos in general. I don't think it's the greatest design concept, but I think it is kind of neat still. And then we have the regional bug, which if there's any set of names in this entire list, this is the one that I hate the most. And that's Spadug, Dawbunker, and Vespap. Or its original name, TerrorNet, which I might replace that with TerrorNet because I just the looking at the name. Oh, those are great. I don't believe you. Vespap came from the word vespid and paper because it's a paper wasp. That's the whole idea. The regional bug, because what's like the one bug that everyone associates with the South, right? Mosquitoes. I didn't want to do mosquitoes. It was too predictable. It was too predictable. I didn't want to do mosquito regional bug, but honestly, I'm thinking locust. Locust is a good one. No, not locust. Katydids. Yo, wait. Okay, because part of the reason why I kind of wanted to talk about this tonight is because I kind of want to work on it a little bit more. Like, because one of the things that I wanted to accomplish while streaming was making this a real thing. I have all of the assets to make this real. I have the programming thing that helps making Pokemon ROM hacks. I have the assets to make Pokemon games. I just need basically an artist for like the custom sprites, and I'm good. So one of the things that I really want to do in this streaming endeavor is turn this into an actual game, because this was such a huge part of my early adult life, like teenage to early adult life, and I will probably literally never forget this. And then I have, like, if you see down here, I have new Pokemon I had regional forms, I had gym leaders and gimmick Pokemon. I was working on a gimmick for this game. But it was based off of paper wasps and their evolutionary cycle being bug ground types. It starts off as a grub in the ground, which technically isn't conducive to wasps, but Pokemon doesn't always follow the right rules biologically. And then it turns into Dawbunker, which is its cocoon form, which was going to be based off of like the dirt dauber nests you'll find like hooked to the side of your house, and they're kind of like this, just like rock almost. That was the idea for that Pokemon, was that it would be more or less just like a rock with like a bug face on it kind of thing. And I liked the idea that like it spends most of it enjoys when it occasionally sees people. Midwest and home, not the South. Well, mosquitoes are kind of everywhere, so like it's kind of hard to say that mosquitoes are that sounds like something that Syed would have, Vladik, not gonna lie. Now I did have kind of an idea like that. It was like a data Pokemon. So that could be like a Porygon option. It's somewhere down there in the bottom. But the idea was that because wasps and vespids are very social insects, I was like, I'm gonna make this little grub guy like to see people. And that carries over into its final evolution, which I'm calling TerrorNet from now on, which is basically kind of like a Vespiquen kind of ripoff. It's a giant wasp, paper wasp, And it says they're very social and they want to build their nest near humans, but many people find these nests ugly and try to remove them. Because that's real and true in the real world. Not necessarily that like hornets and wasps want to build close to us, but that people like, ew, wasp nest, smack. I was like, that's really sad, but also kind of cute, and that makes it really sad. I do think it was a neat idea. I just think the names are terrible. And I couldn't come up with like a design that I liked that. Yeah, no, wasps do hurt. I'll give you that one. But these are nice wasps, they're Pokemon. And then I wanted it to have Shell Smash. Because I wanted it. I thought I had its base stats. It was very defensive. But like kind of all around relatively good. It was just kind of slow. Because it would have like all this like caked on mud and paper and ground and stuff. And it learns Shell Smash and just becomes like a sweeper. That was the idea that I really wanted for it. And then Infiltrator, it blocks past Protect and stuff like that. It was pretty cool. And then we have Squabble. This is also like like one names that I like but also hate at the same time. We have Squabble and Squirrel. Quarrel, Squirrel. It's Quarrel and Squabble, meaning to argue or to fight. It's basically just squirrel but with an A because it's the word quarrel. Which I feel like at the same time is very clever but also very lazy. I just think it's really funny. It's a fighting type squirrel that uses its massive tail to like do flips and acrobatics and stuff. Because like the idea was that if you've ever seen like a squirrel run along a fence and like it jumps off the fence, it uses its tail to like balance itself. That is the most Pokemon name I've heard so far. You know what? Let's fucking go. To be honest, I love it. It's so funny to me. But the idea was that it's a Pokemon that uses its tail to fight. Like how a squirrel uses its tail to maneuver in the air and as a balance kind of thing. And in that regard, it was also slightly based off of the South American fighting style, the dance fighting style of capoeira, because of acrobatic flips and kicks and stuff like that. All in all, I actually do have artwork of this on my phone. A lot of this is on my phone that my roommate drew. And this is actually one of my favorite designs because with the way that my roommate drew it, there could totally be like alternate artwork where like the squirrel is like sitting on its tail like it's a throne kind of thing, because its tail is like really big in the design. It's supposed to be. I also combined it because if you see this this Pokedex entry, because you and squirrels don't get along. Oh boy, that sounds like a story there. This is actually from a different Pokemon that was based off of a ground badger, or you know, badgers, which technically I don't think we have here in the South, so that's why I kind of got rid of it. Look, I have beef. That's it. All right. I'll respect it. And then one of my favorite designs, but I'm not the biggest fan of the names, is the Keyvolt line, which again, key coming from that Latin word meaning little or small. Do you have badgers? You're right, we do have badgers. Why did I get rid of that? Maybe I just combined them because I didn't think that they needed to be two different Pokemon. Maybe that's what it was. I actually do, because I do remember about the badgers thing now. Oh, that reminds me. Another thing that about the starters, Kim's Ridley sea turtles are endangered. No, we don't have honey badgers. Not down here. Honey badgers are more to the west, I think. I think they're western United States. But also, honey badgers also in Africa. I don't know. But we do have a badger. I do know, now that you mention it, I do remember that we have a species of badger that is native down here. But I mean, pretty much all badgers are quote-unquote dumb. But, what reminded me is that, Doofin, Kim's Ridley sea turtles are endangered. Heavily so. At one time, they're not anymore, but at one time, the Gulf Coast native sheep was also endangered because they had a very bad, like, infection that was only affecting them. And it was, like, killing a bunch of them, kind of like mad cow disease kind of thing. And it was for a very short period of time, which is also why I kind of don't like this starters, because I wanted all of them to be endangered species. And obviously, the Nothrotheriops is extinct, so... Because conservation was like a big thing about this game, was conservation of nature and culture. So all the starters being based off of endangered species was very important, which I could, now that, you know, Gen 9 has stopped using the Chinese Zodiac, and they have really no reason to continue using the Chinese Zodiac, I could absolutely change this to something else. That could be kind of neat. Maybe a snake. Maybe we do a snake. But, we have Keevil, the raccoon Pokemon. It is an electric type. And, it is Keevil, it's baby raccoon. Not much there. It has the pickup ability because it's also like a little thief and a trash panda. There's not really much there. But then we get to Rakunder, which name I had someone tell me about, give me the name. Yeah, I mean, Missouri is kind of still part of the area where a lot of this inspiration comes from. But yeah. But I had someone, which I'd probably change this one to, but I had someone recommend me the name Rack-Ohm, as in like ohms in which you measure electricity with. It's kind of neat, but also at the same time feels a little weird as a Pokemon name. But Rakunder, now that I'm older, it kind of sounds like cunt, so maybe we'll change that name. Rakawats. It's an option. Basically, it's my version of the electric dark type Luxray argument. Pretty much all it is. Because if you don't know, raccoons are entirely native to North America. Nowhere else in the world has them. They are only in North America. At least native. So I was like, I should make a raccoon Pokemon. I'm gonna make an electric dark type. Because instead of eating your trash, they eat your house wires and steal all of your electricity. Because a Fulgurek like to chew the wires of residential buildings and will often discharge the extra energy, frying nearby circuit breakers and causing blackouts. It is a nuisance of a Pokemon. And I also had the idea of maybe like tying a bag around its neck as like, like raccoons. That honestly sounds like a raccoon. Yeah, see, I thought it was pretty well like concepted. Just the design and the naming could have used some work. Cyan, a friend of mine, did say that they wanted to try and draw some of these Pokemon, like what they got the vibe from. I don't think they've done that. And there's no sweat. It was entirely their option. They were like, it sounds really cool. But I kind of want to see like what he gets from some of these like descriptions and like me talking about it, you know. Another one that sounds like a very Pokemon name. We have Pup Roar, the normal type dog of the region. It is the puppy Pokemon. Pokemon's cries can be heard over great distances, and it's for this reason it is a popular Pokemon people keep for defense. And then Eckhound. Also, again, a normal type. Because we haven't had enough normal types, I think, in the early route. Because these are all early route Pokemon, up until probably about Eckhound. Yeah, these are all early route. And there's only 2 normal types. Because, where is it? Squabble was the early route rodent. Because it's a squirrel. And the normal type's kind of boring, you know? Because, like... But, like, at the same time, you need those early normal types because it makes all the later Pokemon look really cool, comparatively speaking. It's based off of a Bloodhound and the fact that their barks are loud as shit and they can smell extremely well. It's pretty much all it is. It's just a Bloodhound Pokemon. The barks can be heard for over a mile and has an exceptional sense of smell. It was brought to the region as a hunting Pokemon and has prospered ever since. It's basically all it is. Normal type. And then another one of my favorites is the Fire Ant Pokemon. Scorebug is a fire bug type. That was it's a fire ant that likes to eat metal. Which I'm also gonna get rid of its middle form because ants don't really have middle forms. And I tried to make it work, but I never liked it, and I just thought I never liked it, and it never ended up working out well, so goodbye. I'm leaving the Pokédex entry just in case I want to use it for something else, but there is no middle form. It goes from Scorebug to, I called it Fernant, or Incinesect. It wasn't really great with the name. I didn't really like the name all that much. What is the dog barking at? Hold on, give me one sec, guys. honestly, the worker. Okay, I'm back. The workers, princesses, and queens, king ants through the males. Though the males tend to turn to regular breeding ants after they leave in a pair or sometimes. Yeah, that's kind of what another friend of mine who really got me. I played right. I was talking to them about this the other day, and it kind of reinvigorated a little bit of my interest in it. And they did say something about having like a queen ant version. And I was like, maybe, but it's kind of not what I was going for. Unless there's like it's like a Vespiquen Combi situation kind of thing. I guess that's not really a good example because it would be a male to female variants, which I could do because there's a good chance that there's a good chance that I take one of the later Pokemon, which we're about to see, and turn it into an earlier Pokemon. And it could work. It could work. But basically, the whole idea is that it eats metal and spits molten slag. Kind of pretty much all it is, and they make their nests in like junkyards and crap like that. And then their ant hills are like just like welded metal. Ugh. So it'd be like having the base form, then second form gains flying, and then re-loses it. I don't know. It seems a little unnecessarily complicated. Because like this one lost its bug typing for steel at one point, and it's like development. And I was like, because the idea was that it would cover itself in the steel shell, basically. I don't really like it that much, to be honest. Excuse me. I'm kind of. I wasn't tired until about like 3 o'clock today at work. Then obligatory Pika clone is obligatory, based. Apparently, I never named it, but I had like a naming scheme for it. I don't know. But Scorebug was actually used by the gym leader as well in the game. Which we'll get probably if we get to it later tonight. I'll go into it. But I did have a fire type gym leader who was one of my favorite characters. I love the gym leaders for this region are by far one of my favorite aspects because there was so much care and like thought process that went into the gyms of the region because I was much older when I made the gyms as opposed to when I made the Pokemon. But the obligatory Pika clone, which apparently is Chipmunk plus Berry in Japanese, I probably couldn't come up with a portmanteau, which is probably why it is phrased this way. But it is electric grass type, based off of a field mouse. And I have a design idea in my head, but apparently I never wrote anything down, which, fair enough. This was one of the later Pokemon, and by this point I was starting to get a little burned out. So sometime if you see a Pokemon that like kind of just has design ideas but no like information, it was probably Pokemon that came about later and was close to that burnout part where I kind of stopped working on this. And potential steel normal type Wimpig, basically it's a hedgehog but combined with a pig, kind of like a Swinub situation that evolves into a Warrior, which is based off of the Razorback boar, very famous Arkansas. I believe it's Arkansas football team is called the Razorbacks. Razorback boars are also very prevalent around here. And the idea is very literal in that it's a steel type. Excuse me. And there's this thing that wild pigs and boars have very short tempers, which Warrior has. as well as they will knock anything out of their path, which is a real thing that they do. And the same thing applies for Borrier and for Wimpig. So there's actually a thing as well that smaller pigs will do, where they'll just like close their eyes and hit anything in front of them, and they just like they just hit it and they don't stop until they're gone or it stops moving, kind of thing. I played with the idea that it was steel normal because we don't have steel normal type, but I don't think that was a good idea. Probably either pure steel or maybe steel fighting at the final evolution. It's probably the best route to go. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of that and maybe have the steel fighting there, but I think maybe just pure steel type would be fine. Because I don't think a pig that just gets really mad would be very good at fighting, you know. Maybe just it could honestly be normal steel as this normal type that just kind of covers its body with hard steel, and then who knows? Shuckle, don't fuckle with Shuckle. You've never fought a pig, then? You know what? I haven't. So fair enough. Why do I have to type? What do you want, girl? I'll do it after stream, girl. I'm not gonna get. I'm so stupid. Jesus Christ. Anyway. And then another one of my favorites personally. I may not return to it, but I am talking about it. This is the thing. That I'm talking about it. It's mostly just what I'm doing. For anyone who doesn't know, Gara is my roommate. So like, person that I said like did a little bit of art for some of these characters. Yeah, that's her. But a Pokemon that I actually really like, that I thought was a really cool idea, was Toxilisk and Venorex. Let's go! I deserve that Shuckle after everything that I struggled with to get it. Don't fuckle with the Shuckle. But Toxilisk and Venorex are Pokemon that I thought were very cool. Again, Poison Rock type, a type that I don't think existed before Generation 9 with Glimmet and Glimora. But they were based off of Diamondback snakes. I can't remember if they're rattlesnakes or what, but the Diamondback snake, you know? I'm gonna Google this. I want to know. Diamondback snake. It is a snake. Okay. It's a rattlesnake. Okay. Yeah, it's a rattlesnake. Okay. I couldn't remember what they were. But they were based off of Diamondback rattlesnakes, and the diamond part of that name was taken very literally. And diamond is typically given to the rock typing. And it's a nice little snake, you know? And they had like a diamond rattle, I think was probably. Why are you giving me squats? What is wrong with you? Oh, you're giving me all of them, aren't you? Okay. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Really? You're getting revenge for RNG? 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, I don't know if you heard any of that counting. There you go. Okay. There's 10 squats, 10 push-ups. So, I thought this Pokemon was actually a really cool design concept. Because, like, it was a Pokemon. Hey, Khan, welcome back. How you doing? I'm out of breath. It was a Pokemon on cooldown. Joke over. Yeah, I put a cooldown on those, so you can't spam them. That lowered the prices. I cut the prices in half, so that like people could actually do them. But if I do that, then people that lurk in here give me like 100 squats, and that's not fun for anybody. Anyway, I just like the idea that it's like a rattlesnake that has like literal diamonds on its back and rattle, stuff like that. And because it also comes from the word basilisk, which is Greek for little crown, I believe, which is, the monster and the snake, basilisk, which is why it has the little crown Pokemon. And I like the idea that like on like the head of the snake was like a little tiny little crown made of diamonds. And then when it evolves into the Toxic King Pokemon, the crown kind of gets bigger. And the diamonds on its body get bigger. And like the larger the diamonds on its body, the more respect they command. Big bad guy Pokemon. Nice little evil kind of snake. I thought it was pretty cool. And because the poison rock typing is not a really good competitive typing, I thought it having a signature move called Detoxify would be kind of cool, where it removes any status condition it has. It has like sleep, paralysis, poison, burn, all of them, and it loses its poison typing. So it becomes pure rock type after it uses this move. I thought that was kind of cool, like from a competitive standpoint. So you lose like 4 weaknesses and just become pure rock type. Aragrove, not really much to talk about here. It's supposed to be mangrove roots that resemble a spider, but it's just a plant. It's kind of I didn't really care about it that much. The dogs wish to be let in. Give me a sec. Oh yeah, you're talking about the signature move? Yeah, I never really thought about that. I bet it, like, I'm sure it'll be complicated, but I bet it's not that hard, I'm sure I could figure it out. But and another one of mine that I really liked that actually a lot of people that I told about this really liked this Pokemon, which is kind of like my Pokemon, my version of Wooper Quagsire. We have Goot and Fuegu, which is the glass blower Pokemon, and it's based off of a newt and a salamander. And their little newt, the Goot is a newt and Fuegu is obviously a salamander. But they're little baby lizards that like to blow glass. And they have kind of like a glass blower kind of texture. Skin color, you know? I just thought of it, like the design that I had in my head was just really cute. And the fact that it's just a little yeah, cooling and stained glass. Sounds exploitable. I mean, cute. Yeah, and you can actively see that I reference Quagsire and its design. Definitely, it was really gay. Stop playing Power Roll. Get the exploitableness out of your brain. This is Pokemon. We have cute designs, not exploitable design. Or, you know, exploitable for the sake of merchandise, you know, that's also an option. But money. Yeah, definitely, because like there's not really, I don't know, there's not really much I can say here, because a lot of this design is just in my head, and like I know what I want it to look like. But it was kind of just one of those cute Pokemon. Like, didn't, because this was after I'd gotten a little bit older and I could realize that you know, not everything had to be like really strong or have like a really good typing, and it just, you know, could be cute. Flint Chopper is kind of a Scyther clone. Which this empty space here was for a potential pre-evolution, but I decided against it. Basically just a Scyther clone. It's a bug-fighting grasshopper. Some of them are unhinged. I tried to copy the actual Pokemon's, you know, like kind of writing style for the Pokedex entries. If you let me get to the next Pokemon and tell me how unhinged my dex entries are. But basically, Flint Chopper is supposed to be a Pokemon that hunted alongside humans before, you know, like Pokemon trainers were a thing. And I might redesign this Pokemon because it was kind of inspired by, you know, like flint axes and stuff like that, which is why, you know, where its name comes from. It's Flint Chopper because, you know, flint hand axe, but also grasshopper. But I don't know, there's not really much here either other than say like it's pretty much just a Scyther clone. And then we have the Pokemon that I never named, but I gave it the name Beelzebufo because that's what it's based off of, because this is also when I discovered that this thing existed and became one of my favorite animals of all time. It is a fire poison type with the abilities Static and Flame Body. It is also known as, the base form is known as the Acrid Toad Pokemon, and its evolution is known as the Brimstone Pokemon. The Imp Bullfrog, which is its, you know, name kind of class. Every inch of this Pokemon is coated in a thick toxic poison. Thick sticky toxin. Contact with the poison leads to an intense burning, followed by paralytic effects. Static Flame Body. Beelzebufo, a rare predatory species known for its unique and powerful poison that it secretes. Some say it carries the stench of hell wherever it goes. Are we a little unhinged now? And this is kind of the swamp. This is where like the swamp Pokemon start because still, yeah, fair enough. You know, I mean, you can't really compete with the ghost types are very special in that regard. But we kind of get into the swamp-based Pokemon with Vampray, which is based off of a vampire and a lamprey. Pretty obvious. Dark type. Draculeech. I thought it was kind of a neat name. Evolution to Vampray. Not really much going on there. These don't have stats anymore. This was towards the end of the development cycle, which is also why I'm kind of skipping over them a little bit. I hate leeches too, don't get me wrong. Leeches freak me the fuck out. I wonder why Winter just got on Lethal Company. Oh, fuck that. Nah, I've never had a leech, and I'm so glad I've never had one. I don't know what I would do. Like, I know they say the credit card trick or whatever the fuck, but like, I don't even want to think about it. Oh god, he's gonna shit himself? What are you talking about? Condor, you come in the weirdest time saying the weirdest things. Oh, by the way, isn't Lethal Company scary? I mean, it's kind of goofy scary. It's not that scary. But I mean, it's kind of spooky. I don't find it scary. Keep up the good work. But what reminded me was I actually had someone recently come up to me and say that my link in the Discord, the Discord link in the chat wasn't working. So I replaced it as well as put it in my Twitch bio. So just in case anyone tried to join the Discord and it wasn't working for you, it should now. Did you make it a permalink? I'm pretty sure I did originally, but in case I didn't, it is now. It is a permalink now. But then we have Whisper, spelled like Will-o'-the-Wisp because it's a Will-o'-Wisp Pokemon. Yeah. And then we have Banshreek, obviously based off of Banshees and Wisps. There's not really much going on there. It's just kind of generic ghost type. No Pokedex entries. And then we have Garasect, Girafly, and Miskitter. Which, if you say Miskitter fast, it kind of sounds like mosquito. And that was really all. That was the entire thought process behind that name. It was mosquito. Which I kind of have to explain this a little bit because this is a split evolution based upon gender. So Garasect evolves into Garafly as a male, and then or Miskitter as a female. So to kind of explain this, and I don't know if this is really popular anywhere else in the world, but there are these bugs that I believe are called crane flies that look very similar to mosquitoes. It makes way too much sense as it is. Well, no, I want to explain that. I want to explain that they're called crane flies. And they look very similar to mosquitoes. And there was like a rumor or legend or something that these crane flies were male mosquitoes because they were always nice and friendly and never sucked blood. And there was that whole thing that, only the female mosquitoes suck blood. Except, I don't think they eat mosquitoes. I think that was also a rumor. If you could be any Pokemon, what would you be, and why would it be Sudowoodo? I don't think I'd want to be a Pokemon, so I don't think I could answer that truthfully. But I mean, Raichu is a favorite of mine. But, and that's what, and I forget the scientific name, but Gera is involved in it somehow, which is why the male evolves into the Gera fly, and the female evolves into the Mist Skitter, which they're all water bug types. I'd be the tree stump because how often I get lost in the woods as a kid. That's funny. That's fucked, but funny. And it's also based off of a little water bug, you know, like the I forget what they're called, but we call them like boat bugs. They look like boats. And then Mist Skitter, I'm pretty sure was just kind of a Masquerain ripoff. I'm not gonna lie. And then the Garafly I have over here was more of a physical but slower, while Mist Skitter was a special and fast, had a lot of speed. Lily Calf, Hippodrift, they're hippos because of they hang out in the Pokemon equivalent of the Mississippi River. That's pretty much all it is. They're hippos that have grass and like lily pads and stuff like that. That's really all there is to it. There's not much information there other than the fact that it references 180 degrees of that it can open its mouth 180 degrees is a real thing. Mosquito eaters do not eat mosquitoes. They do, however, eat mosquito larvae during the larval stage, only occasionally flower nectar. Yep. I thought so. Dragonflies eat mosquitoes, I'm pretty sure. As well as bees. I saw a dragonfly eat a bee one time. That was weird. I've never forgotten that. Like I was out biking with my dad on like a mountain trail, on a hiking trail, whatever you want to call it. And like before we got to the trail, and we parked on the side of the road where we were supposed to, and there was just this like big old carpenter bee. This carpenter bee just kind of, and then this dragonfly just like dive bombs the bee, like catches it and like lands on the little wooden fence next to where we parked, and it just took like a bite out of the bee, and I was like, what the fuck? Yeah. And I distinctly remember the inside of the bee being green, and the fact that it was green is seared into my brain, because that is such a weird just like turn of events for like an 8-year-old child. And then we get to some of my favorite Pokemon, because they're based upon, it's probably some of the last ones we do, because this is kind of the last of the ones that I'm quote unquote proud of. The rest of them I'm not, I don't like very much. And then they get to a lot of blank space. But we get Spriggan, which is obviously based off of the word Spriggan, sprig. It is a little beanpole. Pretty much all it is. Because these 3 Pokemon are based off of the 3 staples of food back in like colonial times and Native American times, was beans, gourds, and corn. Like those 3 things were like the most influential food sources back like during the Native American times. It feels weird saying Native American times. That was like the 3 staples basically. So I wanted to make a Pokemon based off of each one. So we have Spriggan and Legumite. I thought it was a fun little name. It's a giant beanstalk that punches things. Corn, the most re-eatable plant there is. Yeah, this is fucking corn. Corn is weird. Corn is whack. The gourd Pokemon, I never really got a good design for, but I had it to be Bug Fairy, and it was related to Shuckle because it stored berries in its shell and made a sappy juice and been known as a cure-all. And it was based off of a snail. And like its shell was kind of shaped like those Asian gourd bottles. I thought it was I thought it was a nice idea, but I could never come up with a name. And then like Gastropod, it goes down the same way it comes out, which is ew. I never the biggest reason why I never really, because I could never come up with a Bowtail. What is Bowtail? As in like, oh, like bottle. You know what? That's not bad. I'll write it down. I'll write it down. I'm gonna put it over here. Bowtail. That's funny. That's funny. And then we had the corn representation. So gourd, squash, legumite, beans, obviously. And then corn. I wanted it to be a bird. And it was based off of kind of a scarecrow. And the fact that it was just this tall, buzzard, crane-like bird that would stand in cornfields and scare off things that would try to eat the corn. And I remembered I wanted its name to be very weird and distinct. And also kind of be like Ho-Oh, where like it's the same backwards as it is forwards. So I came up with the name Korok, which I'm now realizing as I'm saying it sounds like Korok from Legend of Zelda. Fuck me. But it was Kor from corn and rock being the mythical bird. Korok. Because it was also rock type. Honestly, I feel like that's a very Pokemon name. Even if it does sound like Korok from Legend of Zelda. But they were also slightly inspired by Shoebill storks. And the idea was that because they could like clack their beak together and it would like scare off the prey, but they would also pulverize the corn in Harkar. They would pulverize the corn in their beaks and they would make cornmeal from it, and like they would use that to eat it, to survive, and like they could store it in their mouths to where they could eat it for a long amount of time. And it also showed that the natives, it showed them how to make cornmeal, basically. I thought it was a very fun Pokemon, to be honest. And then we have, I called it Alligar. It's based off of a garfish as well as an alligator. And then it had two forms depending on which side of the river that it was on. There's the north form, which is the water ground type, which are extremely territorial, and in the north they are known for burying themselves in mud and swiftly striking once they have their prey and attempt to drown them. This is a combination of garfish and alligator hunting patterns. And in the south form, they're rock ground because they don't have water. Still territorial, but now living in rocky deserts, and swims through the earth and sand and ambushes prey from below, trying to drown the prey in sand as opposed to water. And that's kind of about all of the ones that I really like, and we're going to be skipping over a lot. Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's alligator, gar, fish, and alligator. Alligar. Yeah, you're right. You are right though. but the gar is also a like wide family. Yeah, it is like the fish. It's both. It's the alligator and the alligator gar fish. It takes inspiration from both creatures. Because the north form is more like the fish in the fact that it's, lives in the water and is a little more fish shaped, while the south form is a little bit more alligator shaped, like it's a bit more reptile-ish, because it lives in the desert and is all dried out and has no water. Yeah, I thought it was neat, and it's kind of like the Shellos of my game. We're gonna skip over to the fossils a little bit. So most of the fossils I don't really care for. I think Relicub is a fun fossil name for a little kind of prehistoric cat dog thing. And the reason why it's a cat dog thing is because its evolution, which I had, was and its typing was also based off of its gender. If it was a male, it was rock fire type. If it was female, it was rock ice type. And if it was male, it would evolve into a kind of dire wolf creature. No, it would evolve into Saber Relic, which it would be like, if it was male, it would be a dire wolf rock fire type. But if it was female, it would be like a saber cat rock ice type. Why I did it that way, I don't know, but I thought it was kind of neat that it had two forms. I might get rid of the fact that it's, like based upon gender and maybe make it based upon ability. But it is also the early mammal Pokemon. And you can actually see like its sexual dimorphism, just two separate forms: male fire wolf, female ice cat. The Smilodon, yeah, Smilodon versus Direhound. I couldn't remember the name Smilodon. But yeah, it's exactly what it is. And it'd have like saber teeth of like made of like ice and kind of thing, And they had a rivalry because of the sexual dimorphism thing, the male and female. They both, their hidden ability, no, their main ability was rivalry. And the fact that their hidden ability is normalized is because I came across this theory at one point that all the fossil Pokemon are rock type because of the that's actually not a bad idea, Vladik, because the south of the region is a little bit based off of Mexico, a little bit. So it's got like desert kind of stuff, going on. So the fire in the south would make sense given that it's supposed to be the hotter area. The reason why it has normalized ability is because if it didn't have the rock type, due to the revival process, always leaving just a little bit of the rock of the fossil in the Pokemon, it would be normal fire or normal ice, depending on the gender or region. And I thought that was like a nice little Easter egg there. And it kind of gives it like a secondary stab almost. Yeah, that's what I was doing with because of Alligar. Was because north of the region is all, like Mississippi Delta basically, and it's very verdant. But then south of the region, it's very, like, I don't want to say it's based off of Mexico because it's supposed to be desolate and like barren, but just because of proximity of region, it's you know, it's kind of based off of it, but it's not really. It's part of the story as to why it's barren and desolate. And the story of the game. As to why it's barren and desolate, because it got destroyed early on in the region's history. Arizona, pretty much. Yeah, Arizona, or like the desert portions of Texas, you know. And then we have one of my favorite fossils, but I only realized like yesterday the fact that it's baby, the first form fossil is literally just car impact. I never realized that if you put a space there, it's car impact, because it was supposed to be car impact, like carapace and impact, because it's an ankylosaurus Pokemon. But yeah, that might be a little bad. But its evolution has one of my favorite names of all time. Ankylosaurus. Ankylosaurus plus Colossus. And is a rock fighting type known as the hammering Pokemon. And one of my favorite designs of all time in my head, it's this like kind of little bit like anthropomorphized, but not, it's still like on 4 legs, but it has very strong, powerful front legs that it can like punch rocks with and shit. And also, you know, the Ankylosaurus hammer tail kind of thing. I love your naming skill. Please don't name children. No, of course not. I would never. Actually, actually, I did. You know, if I did ever have kids, I'm probably never gonna have kids. But if I did, I actually do have names for them already. It's James for a boy and Chloe for a male. I mean, what? James for a boy, Chloe for a girl. Because James named after my grandfather, who was one of the greatest men I've ever met. And Chloe just because I think it's a cute name. So take that, Rose. Fuck you. Anyway, these were spider Pokemon. I didn't like them. Arumi comes from the Indian sword of the same name. Tetramail comes from the word tetra, which means 4, and mail as in like chainmail, because it was an armored snake. I mean, armored spider, but technically not a spider. I'm not really proud of it. I think it kind of sucks. Sorpus, Rostrasail, water flying type, dolphins. But then we got dolphin Pokemon in the most recent Pokemon game. So, kind of sucks. So, Sorpus, and obviously, pun on porpoise. They're kind of like mantines. And the fact that they're flying type is because they glide out of the water. And Rostrasail, it might be a little weird to explain, but a rostrum is also the tip or the beak, is what's known as the beak of a dolphin, but also on a sailed surfboard, the rostrum is also what you stand on, if I'm remembering correctly. So Rostrasail was a dolphin that had like a very big dorsal fin, I think is what they're called. The dolphins should have extremely unhinged dexes. Absolutely. It was I think it's a dorsal fin, the one on the back. Had a really big dorsal fin that could be used as a wind sail, and that people would like sail on top of the dolphins was the idea, and then they could like fly with them. And then one of my favorite as well, as because it was the kind of Gyarados copy. Yes, Khan. What would you like? Thank you. Thank you very much. I'll do these squats. Good night, Khan. Good night. I'll do these squats while I explain Finno and Cedar Whale. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Alright. So this will probably be... You know what? That could be potentially. I'm just gonna type fucked up Dex entry. But Finno, obviously, based off of a minnow, pretty easily named. Just change it to an F, and it's a Pokemon named Finno. Woo. It's supposed to be the same idea as Magikarp, in that it's just this really weak ass Pokemon that like can't really do much on its own, you know? But when it evolves at level 30 while holding a Reaper Cloth, it evolves into Cedar Whale, which is a name based off of whale, as in like the animal, whale as in like crying, cetacean meaning whale, as well as I think it's a period, and then it's based off of a Bake Kajira, which is a kind of, if I remember correctly, a dead whale. And the Ceto whale, because of the way it's spelled, Cetowail, Ceto whale, if you say it, it kind of sounds like pseudo whale, because it's technically not a whale. It is a fake whale. It is a water ghost type that is based off of the basking shark, as well as the whale shark and the Bake Kajira, if I'm saying that correctly. Which, if I remember correctly, and this is very... Yeah. And this is also very, 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 very long time ago. I just remember like that was the whole thought process behind the name scheme. Is that a Bake Kajira is a kind of Japanese yokai that is a representation of the pollution of water, or like it only comes around to like scare people to stop polluting the water, kind of thing. I could be way off. You know what? Let me Google it. Let me Google that. You know, okay, Bake Kajira is a mythical Japanese yokai from Western Japan, described as being a skeleton whale that is accompanied by unknown fish and weird birds. It takes its revenge against people who hunt whales or eat whale meat, and does so by cursing them with plagues and fire. It is also known as a Hone Kajira. Yeah, well, I mean, I was kind of wrong, but also somewhat right. Yeah, it's the giant bone whale yokai. And yeah, a water ghost type. It's supposed to be like a Gyarados Pokemon. And I genuinely thought it was like a very interesting design concept, because it's this itty bitty little minnow Pokemon that evolves into a whale. And I thought if there was ever going to be like an American Gyarados equivalent, it would be a whale, right? I thought it was pretty good. Seabar, swordfish, named after the knife. I don't like this Pokemon. That's why I call it a one-stage throwaway. It's just to fill the Pokedex. Fuck that. Regional form, Axew, water dragon type. Let's go. Based off of... I can't remember what they're based off of. but you know, the blades of their mouths they use to dig in the sand on beaches and like coasts to find food. And then all of these I don't care about because they suck. I don't like any of them. Goodbye. I'm skipping you. Fangame. Rotom equivalent of just like very late in the Pokedex, very strong. It's very dragon type. Probably one of the best type combos in the game. It's very strong. The 8th gym leader has one. And then the pseudo legendary as well as it's not a dragonfly actually. It's based off of a fairy dragon from D&D. As well as just the idea of fairy dragons being these diminutive, creepy little weird fucks. And its abilities are Cute Charm and Rivalry, because in its Pokedex entry, the eldest of either gender fight in order to who is the leader of like the group of Fangame that come together. And Cute Charm because they're cute and fairies. But then we get to the pseudo legendary, which is admittedly based off of kind of kaiju. We have Azurank, Anchorage, and Reclodon. They're based off of sharks and megalodons. It's water and then turns into water steel. I am a big proponent of non-dragon type pseudo legendaries, which is why you see that this one is not a dragon type, but it is a good type of a steel type. And the idea of this Pokemon, as it's over here, most sharks are friendly, you're right, but this one is angry because it is the physical embodiment of the ocean raging against human pollution. They are defenders of the natural environment. They are also representation of artificial reefs. Reclodon basically wears an entire ship, like, around itself. Despite its small size, this Pokemon is known as the bully of the Gulf. It enjoys headbutting and ramming other Pokemon, even those bigger than it. Anchorage will claim sunken ships and other metal structures on the ocean floor as their territory, only allowing its kin to feed on the metal. They also eat metal. Due to its enormous size, Reclodon will enter a death-like sleep when there isn't any metal for it to eat. They often get buried beneath huge amounts of sand and natural reef. Kind of referencing that idea of the megalodon still existing. It's just in hibernation, but also it's also referencing the idea of artificial reefs, like sinking boats in certain areas that allow for coral and wildlife to like live in. And it's the idea of like the sharks that will like hang around those kind of artificial reefs. But because they protect the reef, they allow life to thrive and other stuff like that. And then you see the cyclic Pokemon down here. This was going to be a dragon type, but I didn't like it and I deleted it and I got rid of it. It went through a couple different iterations. We know for sure the Megalodon is dead. Yes, the Megalodon is dead. I'm not one of those weirdos that think they're still out there. No. There's no physical way for the Megalodon to still exist. Because the ocean cannot support it. Cannot support a creature of that size. The things that it used to eat are now smaller. So they would have to eat more of them to try and sustain itself. Yeah, no. No Jason Statham, the Meg bullshit for me. But then we get into the legendaries. We have Hunsteel, an unnamed six-legged dinosaur. Sentry sharks. What is a sentry shark? I'm not familiar with that. century shark. A century shark? A Greenland shark? Oh, the ones that'll live for a fucking long ass time? Yeah. I've only heard about those. I had a friend in high school that was like really into sharks. But they ugly as fuck. There's a lot of ugly sharks out there. And then I had to keep, so Merix was a Pokemon designed by little old 10-year-old, 12-year-old me. And when I kind of picked this project back up again, I had to leave it in. Basically, Merix was a combination of Mewtwo and all of the Gen 4 legendaries. But, and as kind of an homage to younger child me, I kept it in the idea as kind of the mythical post-game legendary. It is pure dragon type in its normal form, and it is known as the Cataclysm Pokemon. Pokemon that is said to attract all bad things. The latest depictions of it say its appearance brought the end of the world as we once knew it. And the idea is that it's based off of various extinction events suffered by the Earth, where it would change abilities depending on each of these extinction events. It would become rock type in reference to the meteors that killed off many forms of life throughout Earth's history. It would become fire type to reference the times when I believe the Earth got really fucking hot and killed everything. And it would also become water type because of flooding. I can't remember exactly all of them, but I also remember ice type being in there because of the Ice Age. Yeah, it was pretty edgy, but I felt like I had to leave it in as a reference to younger me. But then the actual quote-unquote box legendary was what's known as the Utopic Pokemon, or the Beacon Pokemon. Was a 6-legged dinosaur, blade theme, and produces light through electricity. I never named it, but I imagined it as almost kind of like this Torterra-esque Pokemon. That was originally Electric Fairy, in a legendary Pokemon that has appeared several times throughout Tuclo's history. It is said people learned how to farm and raise livestock from this Pokemon. It also protected the people when a plague and famine swept through the region hundreds of years ago. It is basically this idea of just prosperity in general, and that plague and famine is why the southern region of the southern area of the region is all desolate, is for that reason. And the Utopic Pokemon basically let the people thrive in a land that was fairly hostile to them in the beginning, and built the Tuclo region, which I might be saying it wrong, but also the Tuclo is, I believe it's Cherokee, but I could be wrong because this was many, many years ago. But it is a native language that means evergreen, because this is the evergreen region of the United States. Because it never gets cold enough, most of the time, for us to lose all of our plants. And being called the Evergreen region is due to this Pokemon, because this Pokemon always kept it lively, and which is why it was fairy electric type. But it dies, it disappears in legend and becomes this mythical legendary Pokemon that we're not even sure if it exists. and it was gonna have a signature ability called Timeless Body, but I don't remember what it does. Yeah. But, and this is where we get into the story kind of elements. The evil team, which was called Team Grimoire, again, yeah, edgy, builds a artificial Pokemon known as Huntsteel, made to hunt down evidence and traces of technically Merrics, but they get their data wrong and start hunting down the box legendary. And the evil team does eventually find the body of the legendary, and they revive it via, and this kind of comes from the story as well, a perfected, quote unquote, fossil revival device. However, the kind of spirit of the Pokemon still exists, and because it was revived for nefarious purposes, it's electric ghost and kind of goes on a rampage, and it's up to you to stop it. And you capture it, and you have the utopic Pokemon, and you are presented with the option to return it to its origin form or keep it as its revived form. And if you return it to its origin form, it's beautiful, it's bright, it's lively, electric fairy. But if you leave it as its revived form, it is still its animated bones, electric ghost form, basically. Also, the Huntsteel Pokemon is a mechanical Pokemon built by Team Grimoire, meant to hunt enemies and Pokemon alike. It can deliver a lethal amount of poison through any of its forearms or spike in its mouth. It's an 8-legged dog, based on the dog from Fahrenheit 451. Yeah, I was a weird kid. Yeah. See, sitting here and like describing it to everyone, I can definitely see like the child ideas and the adult quote unquote ideas. And it's really making me nostalgic for it, to be honest. And like I said, I really do want to make it a game, even if I've gotten burned out on it and haven't been able to complete my goal of 200 custom Pokemon, 201 or 200, yeah, custom Pokemon, which is what I originally set out to do. I feel like I should still do it, even if I never reach that 200 goal. But also, I have friends and people now that can help me with this stuff, and I am no longer so prideful or naive to believe that I should do it all by myself. Because the idea was that I wanted to do 200 Pokemon by myself, and I got maybe about 100 by myself, but I ran out of ideas, was the big thing, and I was terrible at names. And the names... Absolutely. And then I have gotten significantly smarter when it comes to how to make Pokemon, or not just how to make games, because I studied it for a while, and I was going to go to school for it, and I was going to get a degree in game design. Names are amazing, just not for humans. I like the idea when they feel like Pokemon names, you know? And I don't think because there's a lot of the ones I skipped over don't feel like Pokemon names. Help design them on. That could work. Maybe eventually down the line, when I start doing more of this kind of making game content that I want to do. I want to build up my skills first before I start doing it, because I need to learn how to use RPG Maker, which is how a lot of ROM hacks are made. Yeah, but it's not ice cream though. That's the thing, is it's not technically ice cream. It's icicles that just have ice piled on top of them. But it is ice cream. I know what you mean. I know what you mean. There's a lot more than face value to a lot of designs, you know. But that is neither here nor there. And then we kind of go down here, which are kind of rejected mons, or mons that I never really like. This, oh hey, this was the dark type bird. We had Craven, Chorus, and Magistrix, which were the acting birds. Oh shit, I didn't know I kept those. Amplitude, Briofin were sound-based tunas. Tuna fish Pokemon. Gong Toads was an idea I had one time. A Bug Dark Mothman Pokemon. I don't remember these. Oh, the original Firestarter line. It was a Rock Fire type, Tectike, Magmedian, and Volcanel. It would evolve into Steel type. But then I was like, it could be a Geodude copy and like trade it holding a metal coat, gets the Steel type. And it was based off of the Incanel, I believe, metal alloy, which is like one of the most heat resistant metal alloys out there. And then it had a Fulgurite Mon, which is a very cool phenomenon when lightning strikes a sand beach, and it rapidly crystallizes the sand and creates this like really brittle glass that looks cool as shit. And I called it Meteora. It's a rock electric kind of meteorite Fulgurite Pokemon. I had an idea for a Horseshoe Crab, which was actually the Canadian water type starter. It was water steel type or water ice type. And it can use its blood as like armor and freeze its blood. And like, I kind of thought it was maybe a little dark for a Pokemon game, but you know what? This conversation about the fucked up Dex entries, you know what? We could use it. We could absolutely use it. And like it would be kind of like Wimpod and Golisopod, and it would have very blue ice because Horseshoe Crab blood is blue, and its shiny would be red to reference like red blood, and also just be kind of like a really cool design. Opera Singer Bat, I don't really remember that. A Snap Frozen regional variant. A regional variant of Trevenant, which is Ice Ghost type, referencing Snap Freeze trees. Kind of a Klefki type deal, Ice Fairy type of like Ice type charm. I don't remember these Pokemon, so like, I'm getting kind of excited for these actually. The Glass Frog Ice type Pokemon, an Iguana Pokemon, a Frog learning and focusing the Dragon Spirit. Huh? The fuck? A Shrew Mage. Caprintus, a Poison Psychic or Poison Fairy type, Monkey Bat with hands. What if Doctor? What? I don't remember. I don't know what that's talking about. This is what I was talking about, changing the fire starter to a buffalo. Doofin potentially changing the water starter to a water electric type beaver. I didn't remember that at all. Because so like the water type starter changed significantly several times. I talked about turning into a lobster, a crab. The Horseshoe Crab comes up back around here. A water type bat. Shrapshell, I guess an exploding pangolin. Whorlworm. A four-fanged eyeless snake worm thing. Same idea as Zubat line. I don't know what that means. A rock poison tar pit elephant to represent the tar pits in Texas. Blue crab Pokemon. A champ? Ah, yes, the regional variant of Machamp. Okay. And then this was the programmable Pokemon. Yeah, no, like I don't remember a lot of these. I really don't. the programmable Pokemon, which was supposed to be, I guess, kind of like a Porygon copy. Man-made Pokemon that was designed with the intention to perform multiple different tasks and operations. The evolution, the Synapse or fiber optic Pokemon. Pokemon created for transporting large amounts of information or energy. Its glass-like body is extremely flexible and can store amounts of data or electricity. I guess. The malware Pokemon. One of two virus-like forms of were created to access stolen or pirated military technology, freeze its code, and then erase it to prevent it from being used. Interesting. See, I could probably turn these into the like floppy disk Pokemon that you were talking about, and then there's nothing else. That's it. But I like how I didn't remember like any of these down here, and now we just went from like, you know, like pretty typical normal sounding Pokemon type stuff to monkey bat thing with hands, Whirlworm, a four-fanged eyeless snake, Vishnu Machamp. Yeah, that was kind of funny. We had two clone forms of Pokemon, as mentioned, with the Axew Water Dragon type, based off of the shovel-nosed sturgeon, guitarfish, plus Mesosaur. It is known as the Tusk Pokemon. Interesting. We had a regional form of Swablu and Altaria, where it's electric flying. Oh yes, Sunkern. Sunkern. This is one of my favorite Pokemon of the entire region. We had the electric flying type Altaria, Mega Altaria, which, yes, Megas were a part of this region, because remember, I started it back in the X and Y days. Based off of St. Elmo's Fire, Giant Lightning Storm. Basically, that's all there is to it. Banette, Mega Banette, based off of Voodoo Dolls. It'd be Ghost Dark type. And then we get to Sunkern, which was based off of the Manchineal Fruit and the Hogweed, which, if you've touched them, they are toxic plants that make you basically kind of want to die. Oh, I mean, they're not thinking about bringing Mega back. They are. They had released a game trailer yesterday for Legends ZA, which is take place in Kalos, and Megas are back officially. This is kind of why I want to talk about this tonight, because if there's one thing I want from Pokemon Legends ZA, is for them to give Megas to weaker Pokemon, so that they have their time to shine in the spotlight. And because sunflowers are huge down here in the southern United States, I made a fire grass type Sunflora, and I gave it a Mega, and it is known as the Sun God Pokemon. It has the solar power ability. So like Sunflora, so this is the thought process here. That too, I want them to actually make them good. But the thought process here, if you get Sunflora with the Drought ability, which summons sunlight, and then you Mega evolve it into the Sun God Mega Sunflora, which has the solar power ability, which doubles its special attack at the cost of some of its HP in harsh sunlight. Give it solar beam and you fucking sweep, my guy. Like, I love the idea for this Pokemon so much. Sunkern, this Pokemon is too weak to defend itself naturally, so instead it secretes a sappy substance that causes intense burning, making other Pokemon leave it alone. Oh, also, did I mention that Tuclo and Sunflora is kind of like the Alolan Executor, where it's fucking gigantic? Due to the size and number of Sunflora found in this region, many scientists believe that this may be the original form of the Pokemon. Cause why not? You know? Yeah, I've been playing a lot of Pal World recently. Purple or Rose. I don't know why I called you Purple. Rose. I have like 130 hours in Power World. Actually, I'm probably doing a stream next month, sometime in March, the end of March, where I actually beat Power World, and I have done so many stupid things in that game. I had a regional form of Reuniclus called Ruiniclus, which was based off of cancer cells. It was ghost poison type with cursed body and poison point. That one might be a little dark for Pokemon, if I'm being honest. It literally is cancer. And you know what's so fucked up? I'll get through some of these. I mean, I'm not gonna get rid of it, but like, it's kind of fucked up. We had a potential evolution to Zangoose called the Rugaroos, based off of the Rougarou, because I wanted a normal dark type that was actually kind of cool. And a Rougarou is kind of like a kind of, but not really, kind of like a werewolf in a way. And I kind of had this thought process that it was it had like a rage mode ability that whenever it got to half health, it would like double all of its stats but lower its defense. Like it would double all of its offensive stats but it would like cut its defense in half, kind of thing. And it was normal dark type. And to compensate, because Zangoose is always along with Seviper, I made a poison fairy type Seviper to counter the dark type, which is based off of the idea that people would like get snakes as pets, realize they don't want a snake anymore as a pet, and release it. And it was based off of a picture of a bush viper that I found that looked like cotton candy. Like it was the exact same colors as cotton candy and something like shit like that. And it also had a signature ability called Sweet Tooth, whereas biting moves like Poison Fang, Crunch, stuff like that would have a chance at lowering the Pokemon's speed stat, which I thought was really cool. And it was also kind of based off of the idea that people like don't feed the animals correctly. So when this Pokemon was discovered, many people began keeping them as pets, and irresponsible owners like to feed them sweets. Before the Pokemon grew too large to be kept and re-released into the wild. It's like it's a candy sweets based Seviper, which I don't really know why I did that, but I thought it was still a funny idea. I thought the Sweet Tooth ability, I think that's a really cool idea, to be honest. And then we have a regional form of Sceptile being based off of brown anoles, which are an invasive species from Cuba. So it's a grass dark type. We had a Swampert line based off of Axolotl. Well, it's already based off an Axolotl, but it's a psychic Axolotl or something similar. Potentially water poison or water psychic, something like that. And then a fire ghost or fire dragon Blaziken. So the reason why Sceptile's here is because the Elite Four of my region were based off of my friends, and my friend's favorite Pokemon is Sceptile. And that was a very easy one to make a regional form for, because Brown and Knolls, pretty easy. However, Swampert and Blaziken are a lot harder when it comes to making regional forms for this area specifically. And the idea behind the dragon typing was because it could be a cockatrice, which are these chicken dragon things, or it's the ghost type as a reference to chicken houses and the slaughterhouses that chickens are kept in. Whoops, I didn't mean. How did I do that just now? Control Z. Yeah. Yeah. Moving on. We had a Seedot, Nuzleaf, and Landkeel evolutionary line, Grass Poison, based off of Manchineel fruit. Again, same thing from the Sunkern line. I just thought it was kind of a neat idea. Known as the Toxic Seed Pokemon and Landkeel. This Pokemon is typically reclusive and slow to anger, but should you get in a fight with one, even a single touch from its skin is enough to kill 17 adults. Yeah. Very poisonous. The name Landkeel came from Lanky Kill Manchineel. I'm not super sold on this. I kind of like the idea. Like if I don't spend a very long time on it, it's kind of because I don't like the idea. But like, it's also I think there's something there, but I'm not entirely sold on the form that I chose for it, But then my favorite, and probably one of the last ones we'll do, is I had a regional Litwick line that was electric fairy type, based off of it's because I got older. It's probably what it was. I got older and like made darker Pokemon, and I understood the kind of riding patterns of Pokemon, I think, by that point. But I had a regional variant of Litwick that were based off of street lamps, specifically New Orleans street lamps. They were electric fairy type. And I actually mentioned it in a friend of mine's stream that was right before I started streaming. And they were like, that's a really cool idea. And I was like, yes! I had a regional evolution of Skarmory called Skarmament, and I think it had, here it says 2 forms. One would be based on offense and one would be based on defense. So like one would be like a sword, one would be like a shield kind of thing. I might still do this, but I don't remember what I designed for it. But that's pretty much all the Pokemon. Pretty much all the Pokemon. There were a lot of ones that I liked, a lot of ones that I skipped because I didn't like them. I liked a lot of the regional forms. I think the regional forms were a really cool idea, especially like the mega versions, like Altaria, Sunflora. I think the Water Dragon Haxorus is kind of cool. The fucking Cancer Cell Reuniclus. Then we get on to my favorite part of the entire game, the gyms. And now the gyms go in this order: Flying, Dark, Fire, Steel, Psychic, Ground, Ghost, and Normal, Fairy. 8 gyms, 9 types. I had their gym puzzles designed, the design of the characters, the gimmick of the gym, the name of the badge and its meaning, their teams, their names. We had Elmo, which, before you yell at me about the name, it's derived from St. Elmo's fire, which is a giant lightning storm and fire that is caused when lightning hits the mast of a ship. and his gym was in the first city that you get to, which is a giant port town, kind of based off of my hometown. And Elmo is the scion to the power company in the region, which focuses a lot on like, well, power, electric power, wind farms, sea farms to generate power and stuff. And those things are quote unquote polluting the land. Wind farms, they pollute. They have wind pollution, which is different than air pollution. Basically, like, it fucks up the wind patterns, is what they say. And the same thing goes for the underwater versions that follow sea currents. They fuck up sea currents and shit like that. But the whole idea of this region was conservation. Pretty much the whole idea behind the story was conservation and progressivism versus progressivism. And his badge, well, he has a Tucloan Swablu to reference electric and flying, and a Sorpus is his ace. He's a business attire contrasted by messy yellow hair. Obviously was inspired by Volkner because Gen 4 was my first Pokemon game. Usually the first gym of a gym game doesn't really have a puzzle. You just kind of battle 2 trainers and then you go. But I had the idea that his trainers weren't actually trainers because he's not actually in his gym. He's at the lighthouse staring out at the coast. And his 2 bodyguards are his trainers. And he's kind of like, oh, you're here for a gym battle? All right. Well, you guys test to see if he's available. And like he gives him, but you have to use these Pokemon kind of thing. And he beat him and he gives you the Horizon badge, which is a setting sun or a rising one, depending on your perception. And his theme is follow your dreams, explore. Go into that setting sun. Hope or go into the rising sun. And then we have the dark type gym leader. I felt nuclear is the better option for less pollution, but no carbon fans would rather breathe in toxins than deal with something with relatively low risk. I think a lot of people, because like I know you say low risk, is it's low risk, but like if something does go wrong, it's really bad. Usually, is what a lot of people get caught on, is like the destruction of the various nuclear plants throughout history. And this is kind of getting into what I just think of modern society is we don't do enough research anymore. Is that everyone just kind of waits for somebody to tell them something, and then they take that at face value and think it's the whole truth and nothing but the truth. It's like, do your own research, come to your own conclusions. Don't have somebody else tell you your opinions. Fair enough, Rose. I'll take your word for it. But in my experience, when like nuclear meltdowns go, it's like the surrounding area gets exploded and like nuclear fallout kind of thing. Obviously, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but again, I haven't done research. Like I said, a lot of people don't do research. I'm one of them. I have done minimal research, but I'm not an expert on the subject. I don't really have the place to preach about any of that stuff. Well, I usually don't. Yeah. I'll take your word for it. Anyway, back to Pokemon. Dark type gym leader, because we've never had a dark type gym leader. Or at least we didn't until Gen 8. But his puzzle was a maze. And if you've ever played Skyrim, you know that the Azura temple where you had to bring that beam of light all the way from the beginning of the temple all the way to the end? Yeah, I just pretty much stole that and put it here. And he's actually the brother to the bad guy. Fuck that orb. You know, I agree with you, but I did think that was a neat puzzle. I did think it was a neat puzzle that you had to bring the beam of light from the beginning to the end. And you navigate a black maze and you guide a beam of light by moving a series of mirrors and buttons. And he uses an Absol and a Tuclo and Zangoose, which are Pokemon that are misunderstood. They're dark type Pokemon that are misunderstood. Because Absol often appears before disasters, but because people see that, they think Absol causes the disasters. Whereas Tuclo and Zangoose, which is the dark type, normal dark type Zangoose, is misjudged because it's essentially cursed. The moon makes it go on a rampage. It can't control that. And its theme, you get the Glimmer Badge, which is a pearlescent black badge with flecks of light inside. Which, the theme of the gym is not everything is as it seems. Don't judge a book by its cover. And then we get to the fire type gym leader, which is one of my favorites. It's a mechanic garage. It's a mechanic garage, actually. You're really going off about Skyrim, huh? I actually don't remember. It's been a long time since I've done that quest because I used to kind of just started avoiding it after a while, and I never did it. But we have Charlie, the mechanic. She uses a Goot, a Scorbug, and a Fernant. It's basically testing your willpower and resolve to see things through to the end. And at which point you get the Crucible Badge, which is like a rock furnace brimming with fire. And her specialty is, burns, chip damage. And once you enter the gym, you can't leave until you win or lose, is the idea. Every trainer uses moves like Will-O-Wisp and Fire Spin. Testing your resolve. I would probably code this better in game to not be so punishing, but that's definitely the idea. I do it once and get stuck. I may not have the part where like you can't leave, but if you do leave, you have to start it all over again. So you have to beat it in one go. That'd probably be the better gameplay mechanic, is that it just restarts if you leave. It'd be frustrating, but it would be less frustrating than once you go inside, you cannot exit. Now, obviously, this information would be presented to you before you started the gym challenge. Like, this isn't something that just you walk in, oh, la-di-da-di-da, next gym, I can't leave. No, it would be like, hey, are you sure you want to go in there? Because if you go in there, you can't come back out, kind of thing. Field type gym leader. Based off of Cape Canaveral. Uses space shuttle and moon motifs to move a water around with a moon that goes like from around the building and stuff to move platforms and crap. Actually, based off of one of my real world friends whose favorite type is the steel type. Take what life throws at you and keep on trucking. You can't leave without beating at least 2 of the other people, but if you do it, it resets. Maybe. Another, and this was the Riposte badge, but also could be something else. I didn't really decide on the name for this one. Excuse me. I couldn't decide. With the shield, cross swords over top. Excuse me. Fuck. I want to finish this in the next 10 minutes, but yeah, it's basically just steel type, because the steel type's always regarded as one of those types that's like always, it's the highest base defense type of the entire game. And this was gonna be like a fat scientist guy. I know I don't have his design here, but he's fat scientist guy. Pretty much. And we have psychic. Name, I never really knew about their name. Pearl ? Don't worry about this Orbiculum. That was a Pokemon that was basically just a scrying orb, or like one of the magic orb things. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. The Orbiculum is a terrible name for a Pokemon, in my opinion. And it's a crystal ball. Yes, I couldn't think of the word crystal ball. And I thought the challenge that I set forth was you have to choose 2 Pokemon, and you have to beat the entire gym, which is double battles, I think, with those 2 Pokemon. And it's your Pokemon with the highest friendship, which would probably be a hell to code. Probably would scrap this completely and just kind of have it be a regular gym, but they use both psychic and fighting types. Because if you're going into with a psychic type gym, you're gonna break dark types, right? So they're gonna naturally have counters for the fighting type, because this is now the 5th gym. Is that right? Yeah. This one was one of the ones that I wasn't as confident in. I thought it was kind of silly, but I didn't really have a better idea. But then we have the ground type gym, which is kind of based off of Steve Irwin, which is based off of Steve Irwin, and he actually doesn't have a gym. His gym, quote unquote, is like a little grove in the Pokemon Safari. And you go inside the Safari, you find him, and he's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, hi guys." And while he is technically a ground type gym leader, he also only uses Pokemon that you find in the Safari Zone. Or maybe that's only you can use Pokemon you find in the Safari Zone. I don't know. But he's actually supposed to be kind of like a transfer student, but like a transfer gym leader from a different region of Japan. I have the Tohoku. I'm probably saying that wrong. Region, which is focused in tradition and nature, which is like the whole story of this game. And because you are now over halfway through the gym challenge, it's the Crater Badge. And it's time to realize that you're an Earthstriker. The smallest movements cause the biggest impacts. Meaning, like, what you've been doing in the story, as well as you're over halfway through the gym challenge now, it's time to have some confidence in yourself, you know? Have confidence in yourself, or you'll never amount to anything. Kind of. And then the Ghost normal double type gym, which takes place in a abandoned, does it say anywhere? I don't think it says it anywhere. Takes place in an abandoned opera house And the challenge is you have to collect pages of sheet music and bring them onto the stage. There are no trainer battles, but instead there are wild double, triple, and horde battles with wild ghost types that haunt the opera house. And instead of the normal guy who's like, "Hey, champ to be," there is an old man who is the only living soul you find in the gym who tells you all the same information, but it's a completely different sprite. And at the end, it is revealed that he is the gym leader who battles alongside his dead wife. He uses normal types, while his wife uses ghost types. So it is a normal ghost type duel battle between two characters named Geo, coming from the word adagio, and melody. Both musical terms. And you get the symphony badge. A symphony is multiple pieces working together to make one beautiful piece of art. And we get to the final gym leader, who is named Harlequin, because they don't have a name. You never see their face. Their face is purposely left ambiguous, and their gender is left for interpretation. And they are the ringleader of a circus that takes place in this game's version of New Orleans. And they use fairy types, and you get the Joker badge upon completion. And the idea for the gym challenge is you collect tickets like the clowns from Gen 4. And you get the tickets, and they let you into the big top. I think it's called the Big Top, which is like the central biggest tent where the main performance is happening. And because you're a gym leader, you get to walk up on stage, and when you are in fact the final act of the evening, where you battle the ringleader, Harlequin, who, while all of the other gym leaders are the gym leader or the leader class of trainer, Harlequin is the ringleader class of trainer, which I thought was just a nice little funny thing to have in there. At which point you are given the Joker badge, which is the end of your journey through the gym leaders. And you are reminded of the fun you had along the way, and the fun that you must continue to foster in your life. And you have Elite Four members, which represent historical periods in the region. The Grass Specialist, representing the untamed wilderness of the region before humans came. The Rock Specialist, which represents the famine and desolation of the previously mentioned death of the legendary. Poison, representing the plague, as well as represents war and loss and how we should strive to avoid such things, as well as the quote-unquote poisoning of the land as we modernized into the modern age, followed by the electric type Elite Four member, representing the modern age, and Elmo's father is the gym leader. And it represents also the future of the region. And then at the very end, the champion is revealed as the big bad that you've been trying to fight all this time, the leader of Team Grimoire. as well as each and every member of the Elite Four being his admins that you have been fighting throughout the entire game. At which point you beat them, and the Elite Four has to be completely rebuilt from the ground up. Elmo is invited from his gym to take over his father's place as the electric type gym leader, which is why, or the electric type Elite Four, which is why he has the electric type Tuclo and Swablu. The grass, rock, and poison types are also brought in from other regions of the world to act as interim gym leaders. And you are allowed to challenge the Elite Four actually, because previously the Elite Four, the champion, all fuck off to go revive the legendary Pokemon and do their evil bidding. And then you fight your way through them until you get to the champion, which you beat him, and then you are invited to actually take on the Elite Four, in which they are all new trainers, and Elmo, who you started your journey with, becomes your final obstacle, standing in the way of the champion, who, at the end of the game, the replacement champion is revealed to be your own mother, who up until now has been referenced a couple of times as being a champion in their own right, but often dismissively. So it comes full circle. You left your mother's home, set out on your journey. Your first obstacle became your last obstacle, and you return home with one final challenge. And then you win. And that's my story. Thank you guys for listening to me ramble about Pokemon for 3 hours now. And this has been incredibly nostalgic, and it feels nice to go down this kind of memory road, which I haven't done in many, many years. And this was also a very large part of my childhood and growing up, was these notes that we have gone down today. And I appreciate you for listening to me ramble and also inputting your own ideas, because I value that incredibly so. And I wrote them down because I plan to continue working on this someday. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year. But I will work on it, and I will finish it. I will turn it into a game. And even if I don't release it to anyone, I will have it available to you guys. Absolutely. Because this is the story that I wanted to tell. And I thought, even if I don't get to tell it, I'm glad I was able to tell it today. Because I just love everything about this game. I love Pokemon. Pokemon was my childhood. And I'm kind of sad to see it in the state that it's in right now. And I hope they do better. That's really all I can say. But until next time, guys, that'll be it for me this evening. I'll see you tomorrow with Warframe. I hope you guys get plenty of sleep, plenty to eat, and plenty to drink. I'll see you next time. Deuces. I am gonna raid, so that's why it's kind of silent, but I'm trying to figure out who I want to raid. Do I want to raid Tay because it's her last stream until her 2.0 debut? Or do I want to raid Cyan? I'm gonna raid Cyan because they should be doing Oh, actually, it seems like maybe they crashed. Oh, it seems like their stream might have crashed, or they might be ending stream soon. So actually, I'll go ahead and raid Tay. Because I know she's streaming Lethal Company. So we'll go ahead and raid Tay. Thank you guys so much for being here with me tonight and listening to me ramble. I've already done my outro, so there's nothing really much more to me to say. I don't have a raid message, but I do have a raid emote. If you are subscribed, you can use the following and use whatever message you like, so long as it's TOS appropriate. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Stay safe out there.